Shores Village, Florida, amending the village's general employees pension plan, providing for in-service distribution of benefits, providing for retroactive application, providing for classification, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Mr. Mayor, I'll read 7B into the record as well. An ordinance of Miami Shores Village, Florida, amending the village's police officers' retirement system, providing for in-service distribution of benefits, providing for retroactive application, providing for codification, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Great. Mr. Benton or Mr. Serafan, do you want to introduce this, either one?
Yes. I don't know if you all recollect, but some time ago we had a matter come before us with regard to this many, many years ago. Probably more than 20 years, right, Tom? Practice started in the village where under the pension plan, people were engaging in the drop. And at the time, everyone assumed it was legit. We had pension lawyers, etc. It was subsequently determined that our pension plans lacked certain language that would have authorized this. 2, maybe 3 years ago, Tom and I looked around and found many, many cities were in the same boat as we were. And we identified an attorney who everyone said this was the guy who can work out any issues with the IRS. And sure enough, he worked on it and diligently managed to get us approved under a voluntary compliance program. And I believe about 2 or 3 years ago, the council approved the voluntary compliance program. One of the things we're required to do under the voluntary compliance program is amend the pension plan to add the language that was missing retroactively. He has drafted these ordinances. They've been reviewed and approved both by the expert and our regular labor attorney and myself. And we're asking you all to approve them now so that I think this is the final thing that we need to do under the voluntary compliance program, and that'll solve any potential problems with the IRS, which could be very significant if we were not in the voluntary compliance program.
Okay, great.
The other thing I would add, I heard and appreciated the comments during public comment, and none of this requires or really bears on what he was addressing. This is just solving the problems that arose in the past. In other words, by passing this, we're not approving anyone new to enter into the drop program or anything like that.
Okay. Mr. Ben, anything to add to that, or you? Okay. Council, any comments on this? Questions?
I had a question.
Yep.
And again, I also appreciated the public comment earlier from Captain Kerr, is it?
Unfortunately, Commander Dale
I'm Commander Kerr. I just, maybe I don't know, I mean, I understand what the ordinance does. I understand the process we went through with the attorney from a certain firm that'll go nameless.
and made yourself Florida Law.
And can you maybe elaborate, and maybe if not tonight, maybe in between first and second reading, as soon as we get past first reading, the issue with Chapter 112 that Commander Kerr brought up, because I'm not familiar with what that issue may be legally.
The answer is yes, I can address it, and I'd be better postured to address it at the second meeting if we get there. The thing I will say about it at this point is it's not something that hasn't been on our radar, and it is not implicated by any of this. This solves a separate issue and a separate problem.
I understand.
And I can talk to you about it after the meeting or between the 2 meetings, or if you like, I can give a short presentation on it at the next meeting.
Okay. And my only other comment is, I do agree to some extent that, we need to find new blood, so to speak. And, while this fixes our prior issue, going down the road in the future, that's a whole other personnel type issue with hiring and people going, retiring and the like. So that can be considered separately. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. I echo Councilman Zelkowitz's concerns and questions. I fully understand that this is independent of the issues that Commander Kerr had brought up and some other people had reached out about. So I will be voting for this, but I would also like to have that conversation with you so I can be fully versed and somewhat educated in a topic that I am not fully above water on. So thank you. Happy to do it.
Other comments, Council? I have a couple. One of my concerns, obviously, is, and on the surface, it doesn't seem like there would be a cost associated with this to the existing pension with these additional folks potentially hitting it. But I talked to you about this earlier, Mr. Brown, but I would like the actuary to take a look at this and find out, give us, some sense of whether, if there will be a cost associated with that. Because I think we deserve to know, the police deserve to know, and the public employees deserve to know if this is going to result in a significant cost. Now, I don't want to get sideways with the IRS, and that's really, I think, one of the things we're trying to solve here tonight, and solve with this issue. But, again, and I don't think we want to necessarily rehash hiring practices or how we deal with that as a village. But, to me, this change would give us flexibility. If there were certain really talented employees that we wanted to keep, right? It's not a requirement that we keep them after the fact. And I guess for our staff, I see it as another tool in the tool belt, right? To keep the city running well. I don't know that it has to be standard practice, but I do like them to have the flexibility to do that this provides. There was one question that I had between the two ordinances. There is a final sentence in the first one that is not in the second one. And I just wondered if that was deliberate or an oversight or what. However, such member shall accrue no additional benefits under the plan is in the general employees ordinance, but it is not in the police ordinance. The final sentence.
I see it.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. I got to tell you, based on my level of respect for the attorney who drafted this,
Yes.
I'm assuming that there's a reason for
Okay.
that. He's a highly detail-oriented person.
There is a reason. I mean, do they?
No. You want to come up? Yeah, come on up.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know what the reason is. Do they continue to participate in the plan?
Yeah.
In other words, and I'm not versed enough on the general employee side. On the police side, you can't be a cop without participating in the plan, and that's in the ordinance, and that's kind of locked in the states. In other words, you can't opt out of the pension if you want to be a cop. So the question is, do they then re-enter the pension system and start accruing points and everything again? Or do they just not accrue a benefit, and then is there no 9% contribution going into the pension? That's where your sticking point is going to be. And I'm telling you, it's crunchy.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a situation where, maybe half the people that somebody don't have a very large department. You could have 5 people not contributing that 9% on a $25 million plan. That could be a fiscal impact, especially on down years, which we're anticipating. So that, the employee pension, the employee contribution is kind of the bond of the plan. It's that slow trickle.
Right.
That's why that language isn't in there. That was probably the biggest hurdle, I think, for doing these kind of things. It's definitely something you talk about. And again, I don't know the answer because you've got to loop in the pension attorneys also from those boards. And they're not going to be adversarial to it because they've done this 1,000 times. But it's certainly something that has to be addressed before second reading.
And
Thank you for the comment.
No. So again, these are just a couple questions that popped up. Like I said, I want to fix things with the IRS. I want to do it the right way. I don't want it to cost our folks a lot of money. And I want to make sure we're doing it one time. Right. So I'll get you an answer. Any other questions? Comments?
Oh, well, there's one. I mean, this is just for my information, but in the general employee pension ordinance, the retroactive period is so much shorter than with the police. It's January 1, 1995, in Section 7.
I'm assuming that he just used the period for which, starting when it was first done. And it was first done on different dates for different employees with
Right,
different plans.
because police retires much earlier than.
I don't know, I mean,
It's just a practice in police for a lot longer than it was in general.
okay.
Right?
Well, I don't know. All I'm saying is I'm sure they used the retroactive period to go back to the first time someone took advantage of the option. And, you know, it happened that in one it was earlier than the other. I don't know the reason for that. You may be correct, but the fact is that it happened earlier in one than the other, so the retroactive dates are different.
Right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to say, I just wanted to, I just want to make sure that we're able to, take care of the people who in good faith entered into the situation. We don't put them in a bad situation, but would definitely appreciate the 4-second reading, clarification on those items discussed. All right, thank you.
Do you have a motion on ordinance 7A? Maybe? I'll move ordinance 7A on first reading.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other further comments? Call the question. All those in favor of ordinance 7A on first reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Ordinance 7B.
I'd like to move that we vote on first reading on ordinance 7B.
Have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on that one. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Item 8A, discussion and possible action regarding expanding the resident-only parking area to include Northeast 98th Street,